All right, this is the second part of the social studies video for today. I break them up because it takes forever to load them up on YouTube the longer they are. So, um, moving on to page 158, we have a map at the top labeled "The Revolution Begins." Okay, um, and it's different events that happened around different areas. Okay, similar times, very close in times. If you look at each event within April, either April 19th or April 18th. Okay. Um, the key is right here. Um, in purple, there's a purple line. I know it's not easy for you guys to see because you don't have color. So this is Revere's route. This is Dawes' route. Prescott's route is a dotted purple line. British advancing and British retreating. That's a battle. That's a bridge. And this is a road. And what does that say? Town. Okay, town. Okay, green section. So you can kind of see the paths here, and they even have a picture of Paul Revere riding. That's a battle right there. Okay. Another battle right here. Okay. And number 7 asks us to fill in the missing events for boxes 2 and 4. Okay. So let's read on and see what if there's additional answers that could help us out with this map. Okay. So it's the main paragraph says the first shots. Okay. Before even reading, what do you guys think? What do you think that means? The first shots. Okay, just think about it for a minute. The British soldiers reached Lexington at 5 a.m. on the morning of April 19th, 1775. About 70 Minutemen were waiting for them. So remember, the British troops did not know that the Patriots, the militia, Minutemen, whatever you want to call them, knew their plan. So they're just marching in and they think they're going to take weapons and they're going to, it's going to be like a surprise attack. But they got that secret information and somehow found out what the British were planning. So like I said, about 70 Minutemen were waiting for them. The soldiers approached the colonists and told them to leave. Then someone, nobody knows who, fired a gunshot. Both sides began shooting, and the British killed 8 Minutemen. So it was the first battle, okay, at Lexington. Some people say, I'm surprised they don't have it in here. They say it was the shot heard around the world, okay? It ignited the American Revolution and the fight for independence. Okay, so second paragraph. The British soldiers advanced to Concord to search for weapons. Patriot women in Concord helped hide the weapons, but the soldiers never made it to the center of Concord. A battle began at Concord's North Bridge. The militia, who outnumbered the soldiers, forced the British to turn back. As the soldiers marched back to Boston, Patriots began firing their weapons on them from behind trees and stone walls. By the time the British soldiers reached Boston, about 250 of them had been killed or wounded. So they kind of had a sneak attack on them. Okay, they were hiding behind trees, kind of guerrilla warfare style. Back in those days, most countries did it a very different way of fighting. Seems very silly now. If you look at an old battle, each side would just march towards each other and then just start shooting at each other. They wouldn't take cover or anything. It was considered cowardly to do that, but it was smart. It was a smart tactic. They had hid behind trees, and they were able to kill or wound 250 of them, and the British army was very tough, and it was probably one of the toughest armies in the world at the time. So anyway, that's where the battles are right here. So Lexington's here, okay. The British are moving there. Paul Revere's trying to, warn everybody ahead of them. So this is Lexington, and then they get to Concord right here, and then that's the second battle. So those are the very first two battles of the American Revolution, okay? So let's see if we can answer these questions, okay? Midnight, April 18th, Lexington. Blank arrives. He, Dawes, and Prescott begin ride to Concord. Well, what was that title? Whose ride was it? Paul Revere's, right? So Paul Revere is the third person that rode to warn everybody, and he's the most famous one. So Paul Revere arrives. This is for number 2. Okay, if you need to check, if you can't read my handwriting, Paul Revere's on the other page. Okay. Number 4, 5 a.m., April 19th, Lexington. British arrive. They battle with Minutemen and continue on to... Okay, so they arrive at Lexington first. I just said this, right? That was the first battle. So where do they continue on to? Where's the second battle? Right here, Concord. Okay, so we have all the information we need. So they continue on to Concord. Okay, that's your answer for that. Oh. Okay. Moving on to page 159. After those first battles, the British soldiers stayed in Boston. In order to keep them in the city, Patriot militias sneaked onto nearby Breed's Hill on the night of June 16th and built a fort. The next morning, more than 2,000 British soldiers began marching up the hill to attack the Patriots. Twice the Patriots stopped the British advance. Okay, so they were way outnumbered, the militias, okay? The British had way more soldiers. 2,000 is a lot of soldiers, okay? So twice the Patriots were able to stop the British advance. The first 2 times they tried to attack them. The third time, though, the Patriots ran out of ammunition and the British captured the hill. So the British won the third battle, okay? The fight became known as the Battle of Bunker Hill, a hill that was next to Breed's Hill. Though it was a British victory, many more British soldiers were actually killed than the Patriots, okay? So the Patriots did a lot of damage. The Battle of Bunker Hill showed that the colonists that war with Britain had come. But it also showed that they could, fight the British effectively. Most people would say they were crazy. They had no chance. They were untrained citizens, okay, of colonies, fighting trained British soldiers. All right, so it was kind of, like I said, a good and a bad thing. They lost the third battle, unfortunately, and the British captured them, but they fought really hard and they won the first 2 battles. So let's go on to number 8. That's your last question you have to answer for today. Drawing conclusions. Why do you think most of the soldiers in the Boston Massacre were found not guilty? Okay, so that was a long time ago when we were talking about the Boston Massacre. That's an opinion piece. I would say it had to do with John Adams being so persuasive, just because I know I've read a lot about John Adams. So let's write John Adams was very persuasive, meaning he's very convincing, okay? And he also had a lot of evidence against the colonists who were throwing the ice and snowballs at them. So he had a lot of evidence against the colonists that provoked the soldiers. Long answer. Okay, so here it is. John Adams was a very persuasive, meaning very convincing. He had, sorry, it's backwards again. He had a lot let me read it first. He had a lot of evidence against the colonists that provoked the soldiers, okay? He had a lot of evidence against the colonists that provoked the soldiers. So this means he actually had testimony from people that saw it, and they said they were provoking them and calling the soldiers names. If you remember, this was a little while ago that we talked about the Boston Massacre. So that's why I think most of the soldiers were found not guilty. If you have another reason, be sure to put it, and but just explain yourself. I'd love to hear it. That's kind of an opinion piece, but that's why I think most of the soldiers were found not guilty in the Boston Massacre. And that's going to do it for today, okay? So we'll talk more about this next social studies lesson, okay? I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you.